Hello, so in this video, we'll be looking at the question number 724, find pivot index from Leetcode. So the question goes like this. Given an array of integers, nums, calculate the pivot index of this array. The pivot index is the index where the sum of all the numbers strictly to the left of the index is equal to the sum of all the numbers strictly to the index's right. If the index is on the left edge of array, then the left sum is 0. Because there are no elements to the left, this also applies to the right edge of the array. Return the leftmost pivot index. If no such index exists, return -1. So okay, let's look at one of the examples. Input nums is equal to 173656. Output is equal to 3. Okay, so the pivot index is 3. Left sum is equal to 0, num0, num plus num1 plus num2 is equal to 11. Right sum is equal to num index 4 plus num index 5 is equal to 11. So okay, let's try to understand the question first. So what the question states is that we are given an array of integers, and we need to find the pivot index of the given array. So a pivot index is an index to of which the sum of the elements to its left is equal to the sum of the elements to its right. So in the case of this list, we can see the output, the pivot index is 3. So on the third index we have 0 1 2 3. We have 6 in our zeroth index, in our third index. So therefore this is said to be the pivot index. If we see closely, the elements to its left are 1 7 and 3. The sum of these three elements is 11. 7 plus 3 plus 1 is equals to 11, and the elements to its right are 5 plus 6, also 11. And since the sum of the elements of these two sides are equal, we can see that this is the pivot index of our given array. So okay, let's think about the solution for a while. Okay, so in order to solve this, we can follow different methods, but the one of the most efficient methods would be so first of all we can define the initial variables. So I'll define two variables, left sum and right sum. So I'll set the value of left sum to 0, and the value of right sum will be set to the sum of all the elements in the nums. Okay, so now our next step would be to loop through each elements of these of the list and check for the for the sum of the left elements on the left side and the sum of the elements on the right side, and work accordingly. So first of all, let's work with a for loop. So for I in range 0 comma nums, length of nums, and okay, so um after looping, okay, so the first thing we want to check is if the current element is not equals to 0. So we need to initially we need to update the left sum and the right sum. As you can see over here, if the index is on the left edge of the array, then the left sum is 0 because there are no elements to the left. This also implies the right edge. That what that means is when we're on the first index, the zeroth index, the left sum is supposed to be 0. So we'll make sure that we do not update the left sum whenever we're on the zeroth index. But if we are not in the zeroth index, let's say we are on these first index, or the this index over here, the index is number is not equal to 0, therefore I is not equal to 0. So what we want to do is that we'll set the L sum, the left sum, plus equals this is the short form of equals to left sum plus plus left sum equals left sum plus nums I minus 1. So when we come over here, we set the value of left sum to left sum plus the value in the previous index. Therefore, currently we have the value of left sum set to 0. So when we come here, the value of left sum becomes 1. I will just write it as plus equals to because it's much easier for me to understand. So once we add that, the second thing we need to update is the right sum. So as you can see, the initially we have the value of right sum set to the sum of the entire array. So we do not need any condition for the right sum because it keeps on updating for each of the right sum keeps on updating in every case. So I'll put it outside the if condition. So right sum becomes the value of right sum. Okay, so let's say we are on the first in the on the zeroth index over here. When we're over here, we need to update the value of right sum to minus equals. We need to subtract the value of the current index from the right sum. So right sum minus equals, this is again the short form of writing right sum is equal to right sum minus. So right under r sum minus equal to nums of I. Okay, so now once that we have updated these both of the terms, we need to check if the value of left sum is equal to right sum, and if these two values are equal, we return I, the current index, the value of the current index. And as you can see, um, yeah, so we are said that return the leftmost pivot. If no such index exists, return -1. So outside the for loop, if this condition is never satisfied, we just return -1. So let's run the test. As you can see, it has been accepted. Let's submit the code. As you can see, the code is also accepted. So yes, this was the solution for the question number 724 on Leetcode.